Jagadguru Sri Adi Shankaracharya's description of non-duality in Advait Vedanta talks about the absolute truth which is omnipresent, omniscient, and inert. This means pure awareness and pure consciousness which is nirakar, that is formless. Think of it as this absolute static nothingness. It can be comprehended as zero, an absolute state with no vibrations. This is when he compiled his doctrines on the Upanishads and created Advait Vedanta. But do you know why, after roaming the country for so many years and completing the doctrines, he turned to Tantra at the end of his spiritual journey? It was because he felt the love of this reality, the Prakriti, which provides the mind, the intellect, the hands, the feet, the right company, and the right journey, so that he could do his work and fulfill his destiny of creating a revolution in Hindu philosophy. That's when he felt the love and benevolence of this divine energy that rules everything that exists in this creative reality. That's when he fell in love with the divine goddess, the divine feminine, the dynamic energy that dances on this static consciousness. And that is when he compiled his work on Shakti, which we now know as Saundarya Lahari. There is no distinction between the static and dynamic energies because they cannot exist without each other. Shakti needs a platform to create, and Shiva needs Shakti to experience his own nothingness. He talks about how this pure consciousness, this pure awareness, has a part of itself that becomes aware of itself, and that is Shakti, the Divine Mother, which symbolizes the life of Shiva, the energy that makes this vast nothingness aware of his nothingness. Shiva is pure being, and Shakti is pure will. Together, they are the cosmic whole, and what transcends this cosmic whole. Now let's try to understand this in a more technical way. The ineffable Absolute is endowed by us with the highest attributes we can think of to bring it into relation with us and the world that we live in. The impersonal Absolute or Brahman, when viewed through the human mind, becomes a personal God or Ishwar. When the Absolute is thus brought into relation with us and the world that we live in, we inevitably have to think of it as an active power. Hence arises the distinction we draw between the quiescent Brahman and the active Ishwar. Shiva corresponds to the inactive Brahman and Shakti corresponds to the active Ishwar. Hence, Shiva is Shakti and Shakti is Shiva. They are only two different aspects of the same reality. They are the static and dynamic aspects of the same spirit. They are inseparable like fire and heat, or the sun and its radiance. But Shakti, the dynamic aspect of reality, is important to us because we are caught up in this dynamic universe of created beings, and we have this urge in us to transcend our present state. The Advait Vedanta says there is no real change but only the appearance of it. However, in Kashmiri Shaivism or Tantra, it is said that this ultimate reality is immutable in one aspect but undergoes real evolution in another aspect. Advait effects its synthesis through its doctrine of different levels of reality, while Tantra does it through its doctrine of unity in duality and duality in unity. According to Tantra, the ultimate reality is neither wholly static nor wholly dynamic. It is both. Shiva is the Prakash aspect of reality, which is pure self-illuminating thought, which is impersonal, inactive, and devoid of any relativity. While Shakti is the Vimarsha aspect of reality, the inherent activity of thought. Shiva is pure consciousness and Shakti is the formative energy of that consciousness. She is the power latent in pure unrelated consciousness. She is the consciousness developing the subject-object relationship which gives rise to the worldly distinctions, changes, and hence duality. And since Shakti is a feminine word when translated into Sanskrit, the personification of this dynamic reality is a goddess. Because as a female deity, there is more scope for grace, for beauty, for poetry, for art, dance, fragrance, love, romance, religion, philosophy, occultism, and psychology. That is what the Divine Mother represents. She is everything one can imagine. She is imagination herself. She is creativity and art. She is love. She is so loving and benevolent that in the Tantra Puranas it is mentioned that she asked for the path of liberation from Shiva only for mortal beings like us. She is the intellect that can comprehend this vast knowledge and wisdom, enabling us to be free from this reality and be one with the Atman within us, the Shiva within us. On my own journey, there was a time when I was fully immersed in the teachings of Advaita Vedanta. Every moment of my life, I used to see and experience as the witness, the Sakshi. But over time, I realized one thing, that I was becoming very detached, in the sense that I was becoming indifferent. I was in a way becoming less reactive and less emotional, and that affected my judgment of people and life situations. And then I came across Advaita Tantra, where I found the element of creativity, of love and passion without attachment. And I felt that was the best way to live. It's the point between Advait and Dvait, the point where there is unity in duality, unity in consciousness, where you see life as a canvas and become detached from it just the right amount. You love people and situations but don't get attached to them. You reach a point where you become neutral but still have so much love for this beautiful illusory reality called Maya that you don't give up on your hopes and dreams. You just let go of the expectations regarding their outcomes. This realization has profoundly transformed my life. That being said, I'm not suggesting you follow a specific path just because it worked for someone. What resonates with you, what aligns with your authenticity, that's what you should seek. Each person must discover their own path. For me, Advaita Tantra is where I discovered love and a sense of belonging. And your journey is about finding your own love. So I really hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll meet again in the next one.